So hello guys, welcome to Live with Jacqueline Valdez. I'm super excited to be here. So today's guest, we are going to be talking about a modern approach to women empowerment, which I'm super excited to have her here and super honored. So let's welcome Miss ReddRoxx to the show.
Hello.
So lovely, looking gorgeous, looking gorgeous.
Thank you. So are you?
Thank you. So tell me, how has your day been?
Day has been super busy, just working all day, just handling things. Social media, that's a job in itself. So I've just been like really just, trying to stay on top of things all day.
Yes. Social media is definitely a job in itself for sure.
Yes.
And you have such beautiful social media. You're so busy. You're all over the place. So tell me all of the different roles that you do and tell everyone just, all the fabulous stuff that you're doing.
Well, thank you. I've been in radio for 10 years. So that is like my primary thing. I've been in radio like as an actual personality for almost 10 years. Wow. And I just stepped into a brand manager role with Hip Hop Weekly Radio, which is the historic Hip Hop Weekly magazine. They relaunched their radio this year, January 1. So I'm the brand manager for that.
Congrats.
Thank you. My primary job though is a mother. So I'm a mother of 3 children. And let's see, what else? Oh, I also write for the magazine as well. And I, of course, have written my own book recently. So.
Oh my goodness gracious, girl. You are just amazing. So many different talents you have going on. And you're so centered and you're so well organized. And, you come across just so professional and just so loving and just such a beautiful spirit.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yes. So congrats. You just wrote a book.
Yes.
Oh, that's gracious. So tell me about your book.
Okay. So can I curse or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So my book is called 10 Bad Bitch Commandments. This is my author copy. That's why it has the thing on it. But it's basically it is a woman empowerment book. It's kind of a different approach to woman empowerment. I wanted to take something that was kind of known as, a slang type of term in our industry. So something that can be relatable to, or something that what it means when somebody says, oh, she's a bad bitch, right? Yeah. So,
I love it.
But I came about this book because it actually was a personal journey for me, because I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot of things in my life, a lot of really difficult situations. And I felt like I was knocked down a lot. And I always had to pick myself up behind the scenes, and I always had to maintain this image and this facade for the public because I was in the public eye, but I was really dealing with a lot of very difficult things behind the scenes. So when people will be like, oh, you such a bad bitch, you just this, you're so wonderful. And I'd be thinking to myself like, girl, if you only knew
right. Wow.
What's going on in my life. So these all started as personal goals for me. And I wanted to offer other women the opportunity to also take this journey with me, which is how this book came about.
Wow, that's so exciting. And I'm finding the more I talk to so many amazing people like yourself, is people with so many struggles and hardships, just so much beauty comes out of it. And it's a way to inspire so many people around the world. It's really, it's a beautiful story.
Absolutely. I felt very helpless a lot of times. I felt helpless, hopeless. I felt alone, and I just wanted to be able to allow other women to see that, even somebody like me who seems very successful, very grounded, has everything in order on the outside, that I still go through stuff too. But not only did I go through it, I got through it. And that's the most important thing. So that's really the message that I want to convey, is say, okay, you're going to go through these series of things in life. It's going to knock you down. The book is actually to help you kind of sort through life and put things in perspective. So not only can they relate to my own story and understand that they're not alone, or that, we all go through these things, but also they can get through it, and that we're going to come out better because of it.
Oh, I love it so much. I cannot wait to check out your book. I'm so excited to read it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I definitely, I wish I would have been able to get a copy to you prior to this interview so you could really, speak on it as well, but it's coming.
That's gracious. So how long did it take you to write it?
I started writing it last year during the quarantine. So I basically had a lot of downtime because obviously the pandemic. And I started to work on these things, personally myself. And I decided to put it into a book form. So I started like last summer with the concepts and just kind of tweaking it and making it how I want it to be.
Wow. Wow. That's so exciting. Congratulations. And especially getting a book out with having kids, and not just one kid, but 3 kids.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. How did you manage to take that time to write and to focus on it?
Well, I have an amazing support system. My kids, they have an amazing father, and he definitely has stepped up to the plate to help and just throughout this time as we all transitioned into a new way of life, due to the pandemic. So that's first and foremost. And then secondly, I just had a lot more time on my hands because I wasn't hosting parties or concerts, and, because I do host a lot of big events and things like that. And being that everything was closed, I wasn't doing all of the other things as well. So.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I feel like there's so many beautiful things that came out of COVID and quarantine that has made a difference. And, you're using your platform to help inspire other women and to empower other women to find their power and to realize that they're not alone. They can get through it. And there is, the sun at the end of the rain.
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't rain always. The sun will always come out again. And when we're in these dark places, it's very difficult to see that. It's very difficult. You feel like this is the end of the world, but it's not. And you can come out even better from the situation as long as you do the work. You just have to do the work. It's okay to be in a bad space. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to go through things, but you just don't want to stay there. And that's really what I, one of the other points that I get across in the book is, and that's why I wanted to open up and talk about some of the things I went through personally as well.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I think that's important because it's conversations that need to be had and need to be brought to the forefront. So that way people know that other people have been through stuff. And like you said, being successful and seeming like everything's perfectly fine, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. You never know the struggles that people are going through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You really never know. And, and I think that people are so quick to judge other people when it's an old saying, they don't sweep around their doorstep. So it's like, you have to take care of you, not just physically, but internally, and before you can even judge anybody else.
Yeah, that's so true. What tip would you give someone to find their way out of that darkness, to get out of that dark space?
My biggest tip would be just keep reminding yourself, no matter how bad it looks or how bad it feels, it's not going to always feel that way. The only constant in life is change. And the only way to go when you're that low is up. So you feel that way right then in that moment, but it will get better. And you just have to keep reminding yourself it's going to get better. And think about the things that you've been through that you thought you never were going to get over or get through. And then now you're probably laughing at it, or you don't even think about it anymore. You know what I mean? So just know that situation is going to be the same way. Don't let it defeat you. The second thing is to get help. Don't be afraid to ask for help, whether it's from, somebody that you know personally or professionally. Yeah. Don't bottle it up. Don't be embarrassed about your situation. Seek help. Get it out. Talk about it. And I don't care if you have to talk about it 1,000 times just to get to the point where you're okay. And then also that professional help as well. I do make a very big point in my book that it's okay, because especially in the African American community, professional help is really taboo. People want to say, oh, you're crazy because you're going to a counselor, or you're crazy because you want to see a psychiatrist. But in other cultures, that same connotation isn't there. So it's like, I want you to know that it's okay. You go sit down and go speak with someone. That's what they're there for. So those would be like the two like biggest things that I would say if you're in that dark space. It's going to get better, and don't be afraid to seek help, whether it's just talking to a friend or a professional.
I love that you said that, because I've had other conversations with people, and I did not realize how taboo it is in the Black community until speaking with more people, and how you always have to be the strong Black woman and the strong Black man. And it's, you know, something that needs to be discussed. It's okay to go get help. It's okay to say that you are having problems, you're struggling mentally, emotionally, and it's okay.
Right. And I wish more people would talk about it more openly. And honestly, I wish the times that I had to seek professional help, that I was more open and honest about it. I remember there was a time where I actually used to put on like a hat and sunglasses. I was so afraid of somebody seeing me in the office where I was going to get counseling for my anxiety and depression at the time. I was so afraid, and I was, you know, that I would be embarrassed and somebody would see me and think that I'm crazy. And I'm like, now looking back on it, I'm like, shoot, I wish I could have been more open about it. Maybe even talked about some of my sessions openly on my social media accounts, just to let people know that it's okay. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. And I love that you are now, and that you are using your platform and wrote a book, and now really, you know, being so open about it.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like it's one of my duties, you know. I feel like I've gone through a lot of things because of how strong I am, you know, how strong I was made. And sometimes, you know, when I would go through those things, I'd be like, dang, why me? Like, why am I going through this? I can't handle this. And then next thing you know, I'm handling it and I'm getting through it. But there might be someone else who's watching me or following me that is not as strong. And it's not saying it in a bad way. They're just not built as strong to, you know, to handle some of the things that I went through. So I feel like I was put through it because I am strong enough, and I can use my story as an example to help women who aren't strong enough.
Yes. I love that. That's such a beautiful quality. And it's so true. You know, there's so many hardships that so many people go through, and it turns them into such a beautiful person. And I feel like it helps drive your purpose. And what you said earlier about, you know, thinking back about the things that you've been through and you survived them. And one day you look at it like, oh my goodness gracious. Like, I actually went through that, and, you know, I made it through that, and I thought I would never get through that. And I made it through.
Right.
You know, this too shall pass.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's important to remember as well that, you know, and it's not saying that you're going to completely get over whatever it is, that you're going to wake up one day and it's just going to be non-existent. You know, no, when we go through things, we have consequence, you know, there's fallout from some of these things that we go through. So there's, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder, there's anxiety, there's, you know, there's all types of things that can develop. So it's not saying that you'll never have to cope with those emotions again, but they just don't affect you the same way. They don't have you, you know, in that dark place. And I even go on to talk about, you know, as far as like mental health in my mental health chapter, and managing your triggers. I don't agree with the quote that if you're triggered by something, you're not healed. Time doesn't heal everything. And just because I'm triggered by something doesn't mean that I'm not in a place of healing. I'm human.
Right.
I'm human, you know, and I'm not going to force myself to be in a situation or around something or deal with something because I'm supposed to be healed and it's making me feel like shit. Absolutely not. So So that's another thing I talk about. It's like managing your triggers. Okay, so now you pulled yourself out of that dark place. It's important that you do the work to make sure you don't go back there. And that's one of the things you have to do.
Wow, I love that you said that. Yeah, it's so it's kind of crazy that you said that, because today there was something that triggered me while I was driving, and something that I saw on social media from a trauma that I had last year. And I feel like I've been healed from it, and I feel like I've moved on from it. But then I had that moment where I was like, okay, wait, take a step back. I'm human. I'm not like, it's not going to affect me. I'm not going to get angry about it. I'm not going to get emotional about it. It's not going to keep continuing to affect my life, because I don't want to go back in the past. I'm wanting to move forward and trust that everything is meant to be the way it's meant to be.
Absolutely. And like you said, you're human. You're in a place of healing. You moved on from it, but you're not going to be numb to things that trigger you around that situation, or, you know what I mean? Yeah. So at the end of the day, you have to learn how to manage those triggers. You have to learn how to minimize those triggers. And the ones you can't minimize, okay, so what are you going to do within yourself, or tell yourself, so that it doesn't spiral you back to that place? You get what I'm saying? So it's just more of a management tool to just be able to use and kind of think about those things in a different light and a different aspect, because that might have made you feel like, okay, well, I'm really not over it then. Or that might have made you feel like, dang, what's wrong with me that I can't just see this and not be upset about it. Something is wrong with me. Nothing is wrong with you. And I'm tired of just that whole narrative that you just have to, it's just.
It puts you in a box.
It does.
You can be in that box. Yeah.
And you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
If you're trying to pretend like something doesn't bother you because you're supposed to be this healed and superior person, then you're lying to yourself. Yeah. If deep down inside, it really does.
And it affects you. It definitely eats at your spirit. And it's sad that society, says that you can't feel, you can't have emotions, you can't be open about it. It's not okay to have been through traumas, but yet everyone's been through struggles and hardships.
Absolutely. And it's not saying that one person's struggles and hardships is more so than the other either, because we can go through the same thing, but it affects me differently. It may not be as important to you as it is to me. So it impacts me differently. So it's just basically, it's not even saying, okay, you have to have gone through this, this, and this in order to be able to benefit from this book. It's saying, if you are dealing with something, anything, no matter what it is, these are the things that we're going to look at. So like, when we're talking about like mental health, I of course give my own accounts as far as putting myself in situations and relationships that really meant me no good, and that affected me extremely negatively, mentally wise. And also I talk about, my bouts with domestic violence and, almost losing my life and different things and that I had to go through. But that may not be your situation, but whatever it is, you can still, use this to help you get through whatever it is.
Wow. And I can relate with you as far as the domestic violence and stuff. I'm really sorry about that. Is feeling the shame. When I was, married at one time, I was in a very abusive relationship mentally and physically. And I was scared to tell people about it. I was ashamed to speak up on it. And now I'm being more vocal and, trying to use my struggles and my hardships to change others' lives as well.
Absolutely. And that's important. Yeah. And that's one of the main things I think that is important to get out, because there's so many women that are struggling with it privately. Yeah. And, I just wish there was more, more out there. Cause I remember me personally, I was just like, I feel like I'm lost. Like, I feel like I don't have the resources and the help that I really need to get myself out of this situation. And I was young, so it was a lot. So I do too use my voice for that as well, because hopefully one day I can do something on a bigger scale where, it really makes an impact, but I just try to use my voice as much as I can.
I love it. And I bet your kids are so proud of you for what you're doing. And the people in your radio environment are really proud of you too for opening up and sharing your journey. And then your book just sounds amazing and has so many gems dropped in it.
Yes. I mean, my kids, I love them. You know, we're not perfect, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to say that I sit here and paint a picture like I'm, you know, the world's greatest mom.
Yeah.
I literally had my first son when I was pregnant at 18. And, you know, so I had him young. We grew up together, essentially. You know, there was a lot of things that I wish that he didn't see or encounter and things like that. There's a lot of generational, you know, cycles that I'm trying to break right now, like till this day, you know what I mean? And I had to really sit back and say, okay, yeah, I had a great childhood, but there were some things like communication issues and stuff like that that wasn't really there. And it trickled down into me as a parent, and I didn't really realize it, you know. So I even talk about that, you know, in motherhood. You know, I'm very broad and very open about that. Like me at this age, you know, with having an 18-year-old, I am still trying to figure out how to be the best mother that I can be.
I love that. And I love that you're so open and helping so many people. It's just so beautiful to see. It's so needed. And these conversations really need to be had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of it is really taboo in our culture. And I want to, you know, I really want to strip that away. I want us to be able to talk openly about these issues that impact us, because it goes on for generations and generations. And then, you know, it's just a vicious cycle that I hope that we can help break together.
Yes, break it. Definitely. So how has, with the radio and going back into that, you really have hustled and now you're running the department. That's really exciting.
Yes. So, you know, I started as a writer for the magazine, and and then I was tapped to do the to be brand manager when they were talking about relaunching the radio side. So, it's been a learning process. It's a learning curve. But I'm very thankful to have the experience, and can't wait to be able to expand on that. I love radio. You know, I am looking to branch into television. However, radio is going to always have a place in my heart. I'm going to always do radio to some extent.
Wow, that's so exciting. Did you find it was difficult breaking into radio being a female?
Well, it's really difficult for anybody, to be honest, because the job pool is so limited in grand, you know, retrospect to how big it seems. It's not a whole lot of openings. So I actually was very fortunate because I was able to kind of get my foot in the back door through through my internship.
Nice.
And I finished school kind of late in comparison to others, because I kind of dropped out of school. I was in school for nursing. I did not have a passion for it. So I just kind of dropped out to figure out what I wanted to do. And I landed into the communications and broadcast program, and it was amazing. Like, it was everything that I just wanted to do. So through that, I was fortunate to be able to get into an internship with our local radio station. 93.7 WVLK is like the largest hip hop station in upstate New York. And it was a station that I grew up listening to and just loved as well. So I was so excited to get that internship opportunity. And I started in promotions. I moved to on air, and I've been ever since.
Wow. I love that. It just shows that you don't have to be a certain age to do something. You don't have to have, you know, by the time you're 20 years old, graduated from college, you have to know exactly what your purpose is. There's time to discover your purpose, and the universe has a way of, you know, making things happen and doors opening for you if you really put the work in and hustle.
Yes, it's never too late for anything, like nothing. And if you really, like you said, put the work into it, and if you really have a passion for it, it's going to show. And, if you just really stay focused, you can make anything happen, anything.
I love it so much. What feature things do you have coming up for you?
So more interviews, we're going to amp up the ads and things like that for the book. I do have a showcase. So I'm getting back into hosting events now that the world is opening back up. So Hip Hop Weekly magazine has a showcase next week that I will be in Virginia for. Outside of that, it's just really focusing on growing Hip Hop Weekly Radio and hopefully stepping my way into doing television.
I love it. Yes, and you guys heard it here. Manifest.
Yes.
I love it so much. Was there anyone that you wanted to do a special shout out to?
Yes, definitely want to shout out my kids.
No.
Love them to death. They really are the ones who keep me going, and keep me wanting to achieve higher. I want to shout out my significant other. He knows who he is. He's actually been very instrumental in my recent success because he's just been an amazing support system and has just had my back like 1,000%. So shout out to him. Shout out to my mother because she's an amazing grandmother. She definitely is a big part of our life, and she's just amazing. So shout out to her as well. And shout out to Stretch at Hip Hop Weekly magazine for just believing in me and continuing to help me grow in all areas as far as magazine and now radio. Shout out to my PD, also BLK Yasmin Young. She's super dope. She has also been a major part in helping me to maintain being on the air, especially throughout this pandemic. So super big shout out to her as well. And my best friends and my family, the rest of them, they know who they is.
I love it so much love. And it's so exciting that you have such a great support system and people that are helping you flourish and wanting to see you grow and be there while you're growing.
Absolutely. I'm very fortunate, very fortunate. But that's why I do say, even with all the support that I do have, when you're going through things, you still feel like you're alone. You know what I mean? So I just want people to know that that's not abnormal. You know what I mean? And you're going to get through it.
Yeah. What is it that you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for my energy. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the best compliment you can get is on your energy. Oh. And it always makes me feel good when I get that compliment because it's genuine, and I know that energy is contagious. So if I can bring good energy, it's going to rub off on other people and just make the world better. And I want to be remembered for that. And I want to be remembered for my heart.
Oh, I love it. And you're such a huge inspiration and you have such beautiful energy. You're so authentic and you are just so about supporting other women and empowering them and just being a woman boss, which is really inspiring too.
Thank you.
There's so much love for you. It has been so much fun and such a pleasure.
It's been such a pleasure as well. I know I talk to your ear off, but that's what I do for a living. So
it was so much fun. We could talk forever. We'll
yes.
Keep in touch.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, it has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you for illuminating the world with your presence.
No problem. And don't forget to get the book, ReddRoxx.com/book. Okay. Yes. ReddRoxx/book.
Yes. And once this interview goes up, it will be posted so people can find you. And I will keep continuing to follow your journey.
Thank you so much. It was so fun.
It was. Thank you, love.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching Live with Jacqueline Valdez, illuminating the world one voice at a time. Lots of love and light.